September 7th, 2017. It's a day that will always sting for the family here at Draper Media. It was the day that our owner, Mr. Tom Draper, set out on his bike for a morning ride along Slaughter Neck Road. A pickup truck hit him, and the next morning Mr. Draper died as a result of his injuries. So, you can probably imagine why bicycling safety is so close to our hearts.
Oh yeah, and that's just one reason. We are eager to get behind a new campaign to raise awareness of bicyclists and the importance of sharing the road. And here to tell us more about this special event are Sarah Lee Monroe. She is an organizer along with Pastor Martin Hutchison. Thank you both for being here this afternoon. The Ride of Silence is what you're here to talk about. Is it 20th year?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The 20th anniversary.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about how the event got started.
Similar to Tom Draper's family, a family and friends of a cyclist in Texas lost a family member, and they did a ride of silence to commemorate and pay tribute to the cyclist. They thought it was a one and done, but it caught on. So 20 years later, all around the world, on the third Wednesday in May, over 400 communities get together and do a ride of silence to pay tribute to cyclists injured and killed while riding their bicycles.
It's not just here on Delmarva. It is here on Delmarva.
This is the first one. This is the first one. I had a conversation with Zero Deaths Maryland, who funds the restriping and the bump outs around the schools.
Right.
And they said, would you like to organize the Ride of Silence on Delmarva? There isn't one, which surprised me because we have so many beach towns and so many people riding bicycles. And at first I stepped back and had to think about it, and I thought, you know, I think I've been called to do this.
Why is it so? Why? I mean, why are you so passionate about it?
The first Ride of Silence I attended was in Des Moines, Iowa, where I lived for 20 years. Over 500 people were on this organized, pre-planned route with a police escort. And the only thing you hear are people clipping into their pedals when they start. And finally, the town began to realize, old downtown began to realize when we drove by at these restaurants that had outdoor dining, they would all get quiet. Initially they didn't. We would just ride through town, and we went through this huge area where it was just restaurants. It was built on restaurants and foot traffic, and people would start to get quiet. And my hope is that this ride will perpetuate itself. I hope it will be part of May Bike Month activities here in Salisbury. I've also been hit on my bicycle. I was riding down a 4-lane street, and this driver came close to me and ducked into his parking place. I was on my bicycle. I wasn't going to take it. But my bike hit the rear quarter panel of his. I stepped off of the bike and it fell into traffic. I would have been run over if I hadn't stepped off the bicycle. And a very dear friend of mine in the Des Moines, Iowa area was hit and killed on a bicycle. And to this day, that was 2015, and to this day, I wear this black, I use it as an ankle bracelet to commemorate Wade's death.
Wow. So Pastor, tell us about the event. What can people expect?
Well, that would be a better question for Sarah. I'm Sarah Lee. I'm just here in support of her. I think it's a great thing to do in our community. I'm excited that she's leading the charge and that we're bringing one here, because I've ridden the bike on the road, and it can be a scary thing, even in a bike lane, because in our community, people don't understand bike lanes.
And we in general
safety.
are pushing harder to make this a more bicycle-friendly peninsula.
We are.
So you got to take this in consideration too.
Yes, and at the same time, I think post-pandemic, our driving is worse than it's ever been. I see people run red lights all the time, and
And heads in laps and cell phones. I was almost hit here one of the first times I was out. because a driver had pulled up to an intersection where they were supposed to stop. I saw them drop their head, and I just kept watching them until I got to the intersection, and she finally looked up and saw me, and there were 2 bicycles behind me, and she kept doing the same thing to all 3 of us, and it was pretty scary.
All right. And when is the ride?
May
Charles?
17th at 6 p.m. Meeting start and finish at the government office building in downtown Salisbury.
All right. We'll have information
And I would
on-
like to thank WBOC and Salisbury University's Seagull Century Foundation for their support in bringing this to fruition.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whew.
Thank you so much, Sarah Lee Monroe and Pastor Martin Hutchison. Thank you for being here.